How'd that tour go, by the way? You did.
I had a blast, and I'm talking about like these gaps, right? I haven't done a Q Unique run in over 7 to 10 years, so that in itself, to be able to go out for a week or whatever amount of time it was like, oh, I haven't done this in a while. This is pretty cool,
Is it like sense memory?
Yeah,
is it like...
but it was also bringing a lot of the new habits that I have to stage now that I didn't have, like when I was doing Arsonist or early Q Unique stuff. So there's definitely a big difference from once I started with Stillwell and went down the path of becoming a vocalist and a front guy, that I ended up going to vocal school and learning all of these different things and taking care of myself. That. So it's
me too. I took vocal lessons.
Me 3.
Yeah.
So it's a big. It changes the way you approach the stage. So it definitely was a big difference the way I attacked the stage on this run than when I used to do it in the past.
I thought I heard you say something about breath control.
Yes.
On one of the songs on Mechanic.
No, it was actually.
I think that's on
Diamond in the Rough, or maybe The Resume. Because your son doesn't take no
That's
for an
one
answer.
shot. Yep.
Oh yeah, exactly. So basically, you're making the paper off the samples and breath control.
Yeah.
Does your son still take no for an answer?
Yes.
Still not
yes,
take.
He does, man. Being a parent is it's definitely a journey onto its own.
Yo, but that's 14 years later from one shot.
He's big boy now. He's taller than me.
All right, so going back to the Jedi Mind Trick show, what I really liked that you did, which is almost like what we want to do with the podcast, is you went through your catalog.
Yes.
Right. So you went. I think was it backwards?
I started with the new stuff and went back because I felt like if Q Unique, you're going to be more familiar with Vengeance Is Mine, so I'll save that for the end of the show. Starting off with that, and then ending with the Mechanic, which is still like, it's one thing when you're online and people are commenting and you see your streams, but it's another thing when you're in front of a live audience. There were kids coming up to me and saying, congratulations on your career. I hope you have a good one. Like as if I just started. Right. And this is on the Vinny Paz run.
I mean, you look young as fuck. That's what it is too, though. I mean,
take it as a compliment.
I thought it was cool because it gives you that space to start over. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting way to look at it. So I was cool with it,
But still, like sometimes, and I guess you put in so much work that it's got to be a little bit bittersweet that you're thinking like, wow, in 20 years you haven't heard, Q or,
I guess I let that go after a while. There's been pockets of my career where I've been humbled. I wasn't, I feel like when I was with the Arsonist, we had something really cool. And I know I'm like stepping out of the timeline.
No, please, because I want to bring up Matador Records. So keep going.
So at that time, we were so on top of what it was that we had that each individual developed an ego in a different way, not all in the same way. So I know for me, I needed to be humbled. So when I lost that, and I went straight to Uncle Howie, and then I had to fall back in the ranks. You're talking about somebody who led a group, and then all of a sudden I lost everything. And then from there, I started touring. I'm jumping.
Nah, man.
Losing spots.
Please.
But I started touring with Korn, and I was really humbled because from there, I didn't do shit but write music. So I watched them every night, never once took the stage, never once spit a rhyme. Nothing, just watching and learning. It was like going to school.
Yeah,
and that was part of my transformation. That's a piece of it. There's other parts.
What a great band to learn from.
Yeah,
it was basically legendary in their field, man.
Yes, it was like going. It's like I always equate it to if you're going to college for something. So it's like for me going to one of those top colleges, like a Harvard or a Yale or a Columbia. I happened to go to Korn.
You went to KU.
Yeah, exactly. I went to Korn
When you
University.
see that band or that singer or whatever it is, you have a certain idea about it. And when you see it and you're like, I'm nowhere near that.
No.
And I need to do so much more. It's like Hideous and Wonderful. You're
it's
like,
humbling.
I get it. Yeah.
It's humbling really fast. And they've been, now at this point, they've been like brothers to me. So you figure, not only did I see them on stage, but they're letting me look at what goes on behind the scenes of a band like that. I mean, I've been to record labels with them. I've been to management meetings with them and just hanging out in the background, listening, keeping my mouth shut, watching it. Been in the studio with them, watching them put albums together. So I'm like, when I say I learned, like seriously learned.
Now, growing up was like, because you never know, but was rock music like a part of?
It was the first thing in my ear space. You know,
Oh, really?
My dad and mom were, first of all, they were musicians. My dad was a trumpet player. My mom had a small little hippie Christian band that she used to, you know, do gigs all over New York City with my uncle who wrote music. My mom played guitar, sang. My uncle played drums, played guitar. And so I was surrounded by it. And what's interesting is that by the age of 4 or 5, I remember my dad bought this microphone from Radio Shack. So whenever he had company over, he, go ahead, Anthony, sing. And I didn't understand, but I did it. So I would sing a Beatles song or this song or whatever he taught me to sing. So I would sing in front of his little weed party guests, you know. So, and they're looking at this little kid just like get into it. So it started early, and I was, you know, I didn't understand it. And what's interesting is my dad has stage fright. So he's pushing me to be this aggressive front guy, but he couldn't do it. So he was like vicariously like living through me. And what's interesting is that he made me learn the lyrics to other people's songs. And then on top of that, he would, like, if we would catch like a video, because he would watch video music shows before MTV was even a thing. And he'd be like, look, see the way he's delivering that? Look at the eyes. Look at the way he's engaged. Look at his character. So all of those things, I'm sitting there as a kid and I'm absorbing it so that when I'm on stage or I'm doing a music video, I'm just doing what my dad taught me and then what I've learned along the way from watching people that have mattered to me, you know?
That's why, yeah, my dad yesterday sent me a video because he always tries to, like, because I play guitar and I sing.
Right.
So he, like, my dad's on some, like, you know, Spanish music type shit. He's like, yo, you need more percussion in your shit. And I'm like,
right. It doesn't work, man.
So he sends me these videos always, like, of, like, just, like, I don't know. It was some, like, Spanish shit. And I'm you know, I amuse the dude. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. He's like, yeah, it's guitars and all this other stuff. So it's funny to hear that. I mean, because I didn't listen to a word my dad said. So.
Yeah,
but it made an impact on you.
And you're already, like, what's interesting about you and what I'm picking up is you're talking about, like, training when you were little.
Yes.
Getting older, not, you know, like watching Korn, and that's not like going to college. That's the major fucking leagues.
Yeah,
and
it's
like
big.
watching that.
It's massive.
And then also taking vocal lessons.
Yes.
These are things like the bravado of a front man, even the bravado of hip hop will get you started, will get you over that stage fright. But it doesn't keep people sustained unless they're changing and learning.
You have
and
to
trying
evolve.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's been a challenge for me as being a member of the underground hip hop community. And I say that loosely. I've always felt like a misfit and an outsider because they have a very in my opinion, is a very narrow-minded sense. Yeah, I see it in all of these extremists, like in certain sects of rock or certain sects of rap. You know, they have a very like ideal, like you have to do it this way and you can't go out that way, and once you go that way, it's not good. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not. I used to be that guy when I first got down with Rocksteady, and they would, you know, like telling me this is hip hop and these are the 4 elements, and I was young, so
you're impressionable.
I really like dug what, you know, what Crazy Legs was teaching me. So it was like I felt like a crusader. But then after you go through it and you start to mature and you start to look at the other things that you know were important to you, you're like, this crusade isn't as important to me as just wanting to be a musician. And it's funny because in my rock journey, the first person to tell me to go into the rock pool was Crazy Legs of the Rocksteady Crew, which doesn't make any sense.
How did that relationship form with him? Like, how'd you meet him?
I went to school. I come from a broken home, and my father ended up living in the Bronx. And so I would travel out to the Bronx at first, and then eventually I ended up living with him. And I ended up going to school for that short period of time, and I just so happened to go to school with his Crazy Legs' sister. He couldn't have written it any better.
Yeah.
And prior to that, members of Rocksteady used to come to my grandmother's block to hang out with the older dudes because they're older. So they were up to no good, obviously, but they would come and watch us breaking, and they would show us some moves and stuff. So when I think about it now, it doesn't make any sense that these are the guys from Beat Street and Wild Style and Style. And here they are in front of my grandmother's house showing us how to break.
Amazing.
They were the original like rock stars in my life. They were before Korn. They were the biggest people I've ever seen in my life. You know, if you went to see the movie Beat Street or you popped in the VHS and watched it, there they are. They're right there. You know, and
It doesn't get any better than that.
yeah, it was crazy.
And it's the parallel too with New York hardcore. Where, you know, you're hanging out Lower East Side, and then you see like, you know, John Joseph and
Jimmy
all these
Gestapo
people
comes walking
that are
Roger.
like, that are completely just there and stuff. So I guess that's why that connection is there, and they were both coming up at the same time.
And
Yep.
and those worlds came together because I know that Fable from Rocksteady, he hangs out in the hardcore scene, and he told me when he was coming up in hip hop, you know, he loved punk rock, hardcore, metal. He went to see the Bad Brains at
Yeah.
CBGB's. When he told me that, I was like, whoa, you know, like you got to see that at the right time, you know, like, you know, when they were like really
There was
killing
that
it. you know?
KRS-One and Sick of It All thing happening
Yeah,
in like
you know?
89. I forget exactly what year, but it's, you know, at CB's at those matinees, people coming in from Bronx, Brooklyn, and
Crazy.
Queens, and it's just, you know, they grew up on hip hop and then started getting into this stuff. And
It was an amazing time, man.
So you bypassed like the rock world, basically, growing up when you were younger. What made you want to rap then?
Well, first I got to use as a footnote that the first introduction to heavy music was my cousin, Peter. He was a massive Black Sabbath fan. He has all the original vinyl. Like
It's a good place to start.
And he would sit me down and be like, "You're gonna listen to this." And you know, as a little kid, I'm listening to Ozzy and Tony Iommi, and it was like shocking because prior to that, I'm listening to whatever my mom and dad played: Beatles, Rolling Stones.
Well, you
and-
said your mom was like in a Christian.
yeah,
hippie,
exactly.
So, it's
So
like
her
the
shit
antithesis.
was, it's more like chill and
Yeah.
and happy, and all of a sudden I'm listening. You know, I'm listening to War Pigs, and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" You know,
My band just played the Cobra Lounge in Brooklyn, and the bartender was killing it on the selection. And I walked out into the bar area, and he was playing War Pigs. And to this day, that fucking song,
it's powerful.
Like
that
the
album is powerful.
but the drum fills.
Yeah.
To see these like 20-something-year-olds sitting at a bar, like hanging out in Brooklyn, and this dude is like playing some Sabbath. Man, you hear War Pigs, and that shit fucking still bangs.
Yeah,
still, it's like, where did that come from?
Where did that fucking come?
the
Those
universe.
fills.
That's the universe, man.
Yeah.
That's beyond. That's spiritual, man. I heavily believe in that. When you see like a masterpiece happen, it's like I forgot where I think Jack White was repeating what Michael Jackson might have said. God was in the room. That's how they look at certain parts of music. Like when you hear a Sgt. Pepper's, you're like, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. From I want to hold your hand into Sgt. Pepper, you're like, whoa.
Day in the life. Like you break
Yeah,
down that
exactly.
song, it's bananas.
So, you know.
Um,
So, rap. Okay. So, ending up in the Bronx
yeah, because I mean, you could have taken for me-
easily could have been a rock because my uncle was like writing like songs.
Yeah.
He was like straight up guitar writing songs. And I was around that all the time. And what happened was with the divide, you know, with the divorce between my mom and my dad and me going up into the Bronx, I remember seeing kids. Now I'm in the Bronx now, and I'm seeing kids like, you know, repeat rhymes from Grandmaster Flash, from all of these different rappers, and I'm not Grandmaster, Melly Mel, but and I'm like, what's that? And I told my dad, and he went out and he bought the Sugar Hill records for himself, and he was like, this is what it is, and he played it, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I remember memorizing like these records, and I don't know what it was. It was that and DJ Red Alert on Friday, Saturday night, and opening up my mind to this new universe that I didn't know existed. it was happening in the parks. It was, you know, it was moving along, and then before you know it, I'm seeing like kids in school breaking and a couple of kids writing their own rhymes, and it just drew me in. And it was also for what was going on in my house, it was an escape. And it was there was no way of me putting together a band in the situation that I was in at home. And being in that section of the Bronx, nobody around me was playing instruments.
Yeah. I mean, it's just apartments.
Yeah.
You know, like.
So nobody's into. There was. I come to find out that the guy who plays drums for us now,
Lou.
yeah, he was in the neighborhood that I was in.
It's funny.
And I told him, and he knows it. He's a rare commodity. Nobody was doing what he was doing in that section of the Bronx.
Right.
He knows it. I know it. Everybody was a hip hop kid. So. And what's interesting is that hip hop at that time, it's not what it is now, where it's like this big business and there's a code and a loose code, but there's a code. Back then, you did it the same way you joined a Little League team or the same way you went. It was just a thing to do. And if you wrote a rhyme, you wasn't thinking, I'm going to put out a record and go platinum. I'm going to impress some girls.
Right.
That's how you thought.
Yep. Because I told you on the way here, like, because we were like listening to some songs. We were going through the catalog, obviously, to refresh. And what did you say? You're like, not to sound like an old guy, but like it just like music, like, I don't know. We were just listening to like some of your stuff, and it was like, this is just.
I was like, I don't want to sound like I'm 100 years old. I think that's how I started it.
Yeah.
Because I can appreciate any rebellion.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
mumble rap is rebellion. I get it. Just like screaming Sex Pistols were rebellion.
I want to say rebellion is too nice when you say mumble rap in the same sentence.
But hear me out.
Go ahead.
But I was like, what you're doing is like, it takes a lot of work.
Yes.
It's
does.
like it's time. It's frustrating. It's trying to put together something. You're not wasting anybody's time.
Well, we were listening
No,
to Rhyme Time Travel,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
and because we were just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You
We were
know,
like
70s, 80s, and 90s, and just like, who came up with that concept?
I
We're
did.
talking about one of the songs on the first Arsonist record.
Right. And this is how that happened. I was asked to do an off-Broadway play with the Rocksteady Crew. And somewhere in the 90s. I don't remember, like 93, 94. And when you're a rapper and you're trying to go up against breakers in a Broadway play where people are sitting and watching, you're no longer the most dynamic thing on the stage. They are. They always are. The shit that they're doing, my words are never ever gonna top somebody spinning on their head, ever. It's just visually beautiful to watch. So I'm like beating myself up, trying to think, what did I do? Do I change my costume? Do I come up with, what do I do? Lighting? And then finally I'm like watching them, and they're coming up with skits per dance routine. So I was like, maybe I'll do something with I'll travel through time and I'll show people that I know all of these different rhyme styles because I was a fly on the wall and I got to see it. So the last two shows we did before it went to the Minetta Lane Theater, I came up with the segment of Rhyme Time Travel where I did 70. It wasn't as tight, but that's where I did it. I was talking to the audience. Now I'm going to take you to the 80s and 88. And I went into that. Imagine Big Daddy Kane. And it worked. And then I saved it. So when we came around to the Arsonist album, we all had individual pieces, like where we it was like a solo cut on the song. So I was like, I want to do that, because I know not a lot of people got to see that Broadway play. So I was like, I want to at least present it again. A few more people get to hear the idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's to this day, 20 years later. That was 98, right?
99 it came out.
Okay, yeah. So almost 20 years later, man, like it just, you put that shit on, especially for people that have never heard it. Like never heard it.
Because I thought it was different people, remember? Because you sent it
I was
to
like,
me.
nah, man, that's him.
That's
And then
me.
I said, yeah, he came in at the end and crushed it. And he's like, no, that's all
That's
him
all me,
doing
yeah.
and I was like, that's incredible.
That's the one. That's the one song that Fieldy was tripping out on. He was like, "Yo, you went through time. That's crazy." I was like, "I needed something to battle the breakers, man.
Yeah.
There's too much competition."
And it's cool that you weren't like fuck this, I'm out. You were like,
No,
how do
I had to win. I had to win
yeah.
somehow. Yeah.
And like to raise your game to like match what
Yes.
this genius that's going on, visually.
Yeah,
You had to.
They had costumes. They had like, you had to see some of the sketches, which is genius. So I was like, I would come in like as the intermission dude. Hey, 1, 2, spitting a verse, and in my head I was like, this. I find myself boring. This is boring. Who cares if I'm rapping?
What was the first thing that the Arsonist put out? Right. So like, let's take it there because I think you guys were on Fondulum before.
Bobbito's label.
Bobbito's label. So, what did you guys put out on Fondulum?
The Session and Halloween. Those were the first two songs that we put out. And what's cool about that is those two songs pretty much put us on tour. 2 songs, not an album, 2 songs. And we went as far as to Europe. We did the Roskilde Festival. That's the same place where Pearl Jam had the unfortunate incident with
That
Roskilde.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like a rock slide or something like that, or someone was killed. Right?
They were killed in the front row. They were crushed.
Crushed. Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So we were there. As a matter of fact, we were there with Black Sabbath, the full lineup. So I got to watch Black Sabbath with 55,000 people. It was insane. Marilyn Manson, Kraftwerk. Man, I got the post out. There's a few others, but it was for us. It was like, this is insane. Mm-hmm. And with us was Company Flow, Nonfiction, The Arsonist, of course, and High and Mighty, I believe.
Wow. Let's take it there for a minute. What do you think of your, let's say Company Flow? Amazing what LP has done with Run the Jewels, right?
He's the man right now. He's the man. I look at, in that sense, I look at things in rankings where I look at him, what he's done, what Vinny Paz has done, what Slug from Atmosphere has done.
Absolutely.
And I admire it, and it's inspiring to me, because there's hope. In a sense of if you're really in it and you really like want to do something as far as underground hip hop is concerned, there's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel. Me, I'm not built that way. People definitely think that I'm of a hip hop mind state, and I have it, but not like those guys. I don't have that.
In what sense?
Do you think it's like you're like a broader music taste?
I'm a music guy.
Music guy.
I'm a music guy. I mean, last year alone, I co-wrote and produced Fieldy's solo bass album. There's no vocals on that. We did funk, pop, jazz, reggae, Spanish. And I'm writing these things musically with him. Mm-hmm. So that's just going to show you where my head is going. It's going in a direction of I just want to do good music and give it to the world.
I mean, you've lived a life, man. Right? You kind of live
so far.
Yeah, man. Like your resume is like just someone who gets to stay creative.
Yeah. 24 hours a day.
Like,
and I can't turn it off.
You can't
at all. No.
Yeah, man. I
can't turn it off.
I completely understand that. All right, so I'm a big indie rock fan. Mm-hmm. Like I grew up on Pavement. I grew up so did Jake.
My label mates.
That's right, man. Same thing with my boy Jake back there, right?
Yeah.
How does the Arsonist end up on New York indie label like Matador Records with my boys Pavement?
They caught wind of what we were doing. They went to Fat Beats. This is how they described it. We didn't even know they existed. They went to Fat Beats. They bought all of our records, and then they contacted us with the number on the back of the vinyl. And it was the most ideal situation. I feel like we ruined it towards the end, but it was the most ideal situation for us. And it's one of those things where I'm like, at least I had a moment where I was a part of that label. And now I look at it, I mean, they got one of my favorite all-time Queens of the Stone Age is on it, so I wish they were my label mates too, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I have a friend who his wife like works for them, and like that's like when they sign Queens,
that's big.
Their heads exploded.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Did they sign Nonfiction first, or you guys?
We were first. We were the first hip hop group ever on Matador. So we hold that record, whatever that means. So
And how did Nonfiction then get in? Like
they came after us. I don't know how they got the deal.
It wasn't like you didn't like say, hey,
no,
check out.
I think I was vocal in the sense of saying, yeah, that they're cool, they're good at what they do, but they however Matador and Nonfiction found each other. I don't know the details on that story.
Crazy. Yeah, well, we had Gore. He gave us kind of like a rundown.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gore.
Yeah. We can do a backstory on that.
Yo, explain to like the people that don't know like the importance of Fat Beats, because that's how I found the Arsonist.
Fat Beats is another thing, just like Matador, where I wish I understood what I had when I was there. I didn't get it, and it's now when I see the absence of it. For me personally, I think it was like a headquarters for what it is that we were doing as the Arsonist or Nonfiction or Company Flow, as a place for people to come through and see this different planet that we put together, all of these different groups.
Is it just hard to see when you're in it?
Yeah, I also, when you're, in my case, dealing with things behind the scenes, from not having a place to live to jump starting the Arsonist, and we just got signed, and so I was distracted by so many different things that Fat Beats was just at that time was just a footnote to me. But now, if you threw that at me now, I would have handled it with care. It would have been a different approach. We were gatekeepers, and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't get it.
That's how I stumbled upon you guys. Just going there. Like a friend of mine discovered the place, and being suburb Long Island dudes, we would just go hit up Yellow Rat Bastards and a few other places, you know. And then we were like, oh, we gotta stop at Fat Beats, and we got back then it was cassettes and like whatever it was, and it's like, all right, Necro fucking what's that? The Get on Your Knees track, Nonfiction, Black Helicopters, and it's like, oh shit, Arsonist, okay, this As the World Burns album, and then you start just buying shit, and then you just piece things together, like, and as big of an indie rock and like punk fan that I was, like that time for me, hip hop was huge.
It was definitely one of the most defined moments, and it's also the to me, and I've talked this over with a few people. It's when the split started, because the truth is Diddy is the reason for the split. We were all going in. I felt like we were pretty much all going in one direction, and his idea of what rappers should be or how they should act just went this way. Okay. We went a hard right and we went a hard left, and it split. And the reason why I say this is because the Source at the time, when they were at their peak and they were dominating as far as media, they did an editorial, and in the editorial they say you have hip hop, and it starts on one side with Diddy, and on the other side you have the Arsonist, and that's how they described hip hop. And for us, we were like shocked. We were like, oh, okay, they see that we're there, but they understood that it split, and these were the dynamics: the hard right or the hard left. So,
and commercially, P. Diddy, he's writing for the radio.
He was a strategist. He's a smart guy. I can't say I agree with everything, but I get it. It is.
He's actually our next guest.
Good luck.
But just like George's World, which is Long Island hardcore, was the documentary, or actually one day it'll come out.
Maybe one.
Seeing the trailer for something like that, I wonder what you think of the Stretch and Bobbito trailer or movie, like, because that's kind of like that was just the world that you guys were in, right?
Yeah. You touched on a sensitive note. I'm happy for them.
Okay.
I think that what they achieved by getting that movie out was beautiful. I don't know, it might come across as bias or a little selfish, but I feel like there are pieces missing visually that I don't see. I know the Arsonists are not in that movie at all. And I know that when they kind of like allude to our movement, they kind of like poked fun at it. You know, they said, you know, Bob listening to the weirdo space rap, and then you see Mr. Complex, who's one of my colleagues in underground hip hop, and that didn't really sit well with me. You know, I don't think that what we did was funny. You know, if Matador Records is signing us and there's money behind us and we're on a world tour, that sounds pretty fucking serious to me. So weirdo space rap or not, you know, handle things with care and just tell the story.
I remember maybe it was Sabak on one of the songs said, call it space rap. You get your face slapped.
Right. You know, I get it. It didn't match with you know, Mobb Deep or Biggie or whatever was doing, and that's cool. But eventually somebody like Prodigy, you know, God rest his soul, he did a few songs with a few underground rappers that I know. So, you know, he understood it.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
I went out to Spain, and me and Mobb Deep did a massive concert out there in Madrid. So it's like, it's not them. It's usually the people around that are not in the trenches that
Almost always,
that
right?
kind of like throw things for a curve, and you kind of look at it like, all right, you know. I love Bob, you know, and you know, Stretch has always been kind of cool. So it's, you know, it's one of those unfortunate things where I'm like, you know.
I'll edit this whole thing out. Don't worry.
Nah,
No, I'm just kidding.
you play it however you want it.
I'm joking, man. So, okay, so basically, from the first Arsonist record to the second one, so Date of Birth comes out. There's 3 now.
3 members, yeah.
Okay, as you mentioned later on in life, you said something about the VH1 behind the music type shit.
Yeah, it was
So
a lot of drama behind the scenes. A lot of like egos were clashing, and we needed a Papa Wu.
Okay.
That's what we needed. We needed somebody to come in and say,
I think we all need a Papa Wu.
we needed that person to come in and tell us to chill out and to understand what it was that we had. What's interesting about Date of Birth is that I never really gauged how people took that album. And I posted that, I forgot how how old it is
On
now.
Instagram. It's 17 years.
Yeah, and people reacted like
I did.
really well. And I was like,
Under Red River Podcast.
but it surprised me because I know that people tend to lean towards As the World Burns, and I get that. But, you know, Date of Birth was one of those, we took a shot. We took a big chance with that. And 9/11 happened the day it was released.
So you and Slayer record then.
Us, Slayer, and Jay-Z.
Wow.
So it was, and I think POD, So it was like, for us, it was like, talk about a bad omen, you know?
Yeah.
So, but posting it up recently and watching people, I love this album. I grew up on this album. This album means everything. I was
Listen,
like, really?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why, because time, everyone catches up with time. You know, I always cite like the Misfits. Like the Misfits
Right.
came out in 77. No one gave a shit.
Right.
Last year, I saw them in a fucking stadium.
Right.
People eventually get to that record with anything, even like a podcast like this. Like that's why podcasts are fucking great. I'm listening to the Josta podcast. He has Kurt from Crowbar. I don't listen to Crowbar, but he has him on. I'm like, I think I want to listen to Crowbar now because they keep talking about it.
Right.
So it's a way to just keep these things alive and circulating. You know, you mention a movie, you mention a show. It's like, I haven't seen that movie in a while. I want to listen to it. I want to watch it.
Right.
So maybe Date of Birth is that way too, you know? For me, I loved it. I think, how does a song like Language Arts come about, man? Like, that's the shit right there.
It was an idea. Well, me being a martial artist, it was one of those things where
even back then?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. It started when I was in the Nomads, because the guy who was with me was like a black belt, and his brother was a teacher, and there's a whole story behind it. The Nomads was the group I was in before the Arsonists
Oh, wow.
rap group. So
You see, he's filling in the blanks for people. I know shit, but I don't know that.
the reason why I bring that
Following
up,
the script. Q.
Chopped Herring, that label Chopped Herring. There's a rap label called Chopped Herring in out of London. This is the reason why I bring up the Nomads. And this guy, I think he's a genius. He started getting at, artists like myself that he knew had this long line of like just being from the 90s, and he reached out and said, hey, you got any demos that you haven't released from like the early 90s? And he got some from me. He got some, I think he got from Natural Elements. His list is crazy. You go to his website and you're like, how did he get that? Like, he's got like demos from the 90s. So his niche is to put out
Smart.
unreleased stuff from the 90s.
Yeah.
So I gave him an EP of the group that I was in, that we only put out a single, and he put out an EP, and it was
That's
like,
pretty smart, man. That's
Yeah.
a good, like, it gets
bad.
it gets the music to the fans, but it's also like a pretty interesting model.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
smart. I think it's genius. It's
Yeah,
very
because like
smart.
everyone who records music, like all three of us did or do, you always have just like extra shit like that you didn't finish lying around, or that you finished and you didn't put out. So
And 90s hip hop seems to have this people just love it. People
Yeah.
love the sound. People love the moment.
I love it.
And so he was smart enough to say, I know that there's a market for this, because that's all people, the 90s, that's all people ever say. So he took advantage of it. And for him to call me in particular, the story of the Nomads is so crazy that I had he wrote a book about everybody he put out. I think it's me, Master Ace, Mr. Voodoo from Natural Elements, and a couple of others I forgot. And the Nomads, we were hanging out with A Tribe Called Quest. I'm in the studio watching them record Lyrics to Go, and I'm in this like little shitty rap group called the Nomads.
So you're serious in that song?
Oh no,
I see on I Seen.
oh yeah, I was very
Yeah.
serious about that.
Okay.
I was in the studio. We went up there because Skeff Anselm, like I think he's on the song "We Got the Jazz," and he goes, and oh shit, Skeff Anselm, he gets props too. That's from the Tribe Called Quest song. He used to produce our demos for the Nomads. So Skeff was like, hey, Q-Tip is recording today at Battery. Why don't you go up, make him say the hook on this Nomad song? So we're like, shit, okay. And when we got there, we get to the front, and there's the Fushnikins. So me and Beretta looking at each other like, oh shit. We go upstairs. There's De La Soul. There's the Tribe Called Quest. And we're like, what? And then Busta Rhymes is sitting on the couch. And we're like, what are we doing here? And we just sat and stood quiet. We spoke whenever we were asked something. We were real like in shock by the whole thing. And they were wrapping up Lyrics to Go.
Man, look, I don't want to sound like I'm 100, but that 90s hip hop is the shit.
Listen, I'm someone who listens to.
Listen to
I
everything.
could tell you 100 records that came out this year that I love, from fucking black metal to fucking Jason Isbell country. But yeah, I mean, the stuff that you grew up on is just, like shit, man. You put on the Infamous.
Right,
Fuck.
exactly.
Like you hear
Or
Eye for an Eye.
Illmatic, like I still listen to Illmatic. I still listen to 36 Chambers. There's just something about that time that.
Do you have to listen? Do you like listening to that to get into the mode? Because you said it's been a while since you put out like a Q unique solo record. Like, is that what sparks you to just get in and start?
As of late, Sean Price
Oh, Jesus.
is the guy that sparks. If I had to be like 100% honest, there's something about what that, and it's funny because I was listening with my son, and I had a moment where I was bummed out. I was like, man, like you get selfish. I'll never hear anything new from this fucking guy ever again. It like bothered me. I was like, this sucks. He left this piece of work, and if there's anything else in on a hard drive, fine. But you hear this element of rap that I get his character. Like I've seen it so many times in New York City, and to have that kind of like, I don't care, I'm good, I'm so good at this that I don't even care attitude. It's like you don't see that a lot, and I like that.
No, it's very genuine. He said he's like, I work construction,
Yeah,
I do this.
yes.
He's like, I rap.
Yeah,
But man, Mike Tyson and Monkey Bars.
yeah,
Like you hear Onion Head,
unbelievable. And
just that fucking first verse.
he was necessary for somebody like me. I needed to hear that.
And the beat selection was
Yeah.
always on point.
Yeah, especially it fit him and his whole mannerism perfectly. So you know, you don't get that a lot, but I like seeing that.
All right, so I'm just gonna.
It was like me watching I Hate God recently. Like
Oh
it
my
was the
God.
same feeling. I was like, these guys are very good at what they do, and it's like they're not chasing anything. They're
Nothing.
just doing what the fuck they do, and I appreciate. I was like, this is a breath of fresh air.
Where'd you see? Oh, because
I
they
saw
just
them at
did
Brooklyn-
with Chromex.
Brooklyn Bazaar, I think, or something.
Okay, yeah, because they just play. They always play Brooklyn.
Yeah.
They play
Played
Vitus,
Saint Vitus.
a lot too. So, but yeah, that's a great band.
Yeah.
So just like moving along, right? So what I noticed was like Date of Birth and Stillwell, like the first Stillwell, kind of like a year apart. So I imagine somewhere along the way, this is where I don't know what happened to you. Like,
Okay. So yeah, it's Date of Birth, the first Q Unique album, Vengeance Is Mine.
Oh, but that was
And
like
then-
2004.
and yeah, 2004. But that's where the transformation starts to happen, and before I get into Stillwell. So what happens is this
Uncle
is
Howard.
how it happened. We got asked. Well, Bill got asked to do the Vans Warped Tour. Nonfiction got asked to do the Vans Warped Tour. So Bill, because he was putting out my record, was like, "Yo, you should come with us on this tour." I was like, "Okay." And
By the way, Sam guessed that in the car. He
I did.
You did. He did guess that.
Oh,
that's how clued in he is with.
I'm like, yo, it
Unique.
had to be like Warped Tour or some
That's
shit.
what he said. He said
it
"I'm gonna
was
ask
it
him."
was the Warped Tour that opened my eyes to something that I've always secretly wanted to do. I just didn't know how to go about doing it. So when I first went on it, it was Caves from Lords of Brooklyn that gave me my first taste. He brought me on stage to rap while Lords the band was playing, and I was like sold.
Yeah.
But I still didn't know what I was doing yet. And then being hanging out with Madball and H2O, which they were doing Hazen Street at the time. I was on the tour bus with Hoya, you know, hanging out with Freddie and Toby. So I'm watching them go through the mechanics of what it is that they do. And I'm like, I'm really, really digging this. So when we finished that tour, I was like in shock, like in a sense of I seen all of these bands, because there's hundreds of bands. And we're hanging out with Coheed and Cambria and I can't think of the name of this other big, but Good Charlotte. And we're watching different types of bands, but go through this same motion. So I'm like really analyzing and absorbing this. See, Bill didn't have to because he was already in a band
He was
prior to it.
Yeah. Was
So-
it like Injustice?
Yes. So he was schooling me in the van, and then I would go out and watch. So that was like being in kindergarten, like as we were talking before about corn being the universe. So I am
Yeah.
in kindergarten. I'm watching this, and when I got home, Crazy Legs starts talking to me, and he was like, "How was the tour?" And I'm like, "It was great." And I'm telling him how I felt about seeing all these bands, and he was the one who was like, "Dude, go online, put out an ad, and say you're looking for a band to front." And I'm like, "You think that works?" He's like, "You got a lot of followers, dude. It's gonna work." I'm like, "You sure?" So I do it, and I get slammed with like different bands from Canada, Pennsylvania.
MySpace era?
Yeah, MySpace era. And this one band from Long Island called Unsound. They were like a rap rock band from like Amityville, like the Amityville area.
Right
Not-
where we are.
Yeah, that's where I live, kind of.
I grew up in Lindenhurst. That's right.
So they answer, and I drive out to Long Island. I hang out with them in a diner, and there's the front guy with his band, and he's like, "Yeah, you can use them." And I thought it was weird. I felt awkward because I was like, "I like what you guys
Shit.
are
You
You
doing."
can tell this guy.
I think I know who it is.
It's like the name sounds familiar, but
You know why? 'Cause
There was a keyboard player named Jeremy.
and Francesco.
Yes.
There was an
of
issue,
course
right?
Sam knows who these.
I don't know if
people
there
are.
was an issue. I just know that this is what ended up
Okay,
happening.
yeah.
They ended up now he's really digging the history. So here's what ends up happening. We start jamming, and they start covering Q Unique songs from Vengeance Is Mine, and they're doing their own renditions of it, which I thought was cool. Like they turned I think the setup they turned into, it was either the setup or Diamond in the Rough. They turned into like a reggae styled track, and then they did other songs. They just did their own twists to my songs, which I thought was cool. And when we came closer to like the next year, I asked Adverse, who was running the hip hop tent, hey, can I do the Warped Tour again? And she was like, sure. And I brought the band with me, and we killed. Like it's obviously perfect to go to the Vans Warped Tour with a band versus going with a DJ. You know, it's big difference. Mm-hmm. So we did great. But what was weird was that once we finished, it's like the band went like this. Everyone just scattered, and it was just weird. You know, we tried to record a few things, but then it just didn't work, and certain dudes just fell into different things that had nothing to do with, in my opinion, being a professional musician.
Okay.
So I think the only one that I think Jeremy, the keyboard player, I heard that he was writing music or something, but he was like super talented keyboard player. And then I met my guitar player who's in King's Bounty now, Steve Licata, from them, because he's from Long Island. So he's written a lot of music with me through the years. Mm-hmm. So that's how, and then, so then from there, after I lost Unsound, I get a call from, there's a clothing company in San Diego called Tribal Gear.
Yeah.
And they, I know the owner, and you know, he's like, hey, he called me out of the clear blue, first of all. Like, it was like a random call, and he was like, hey, would you ever do a track with Fieldy from Korn? And what's funny is, at the time, I was so into what I was doing. It was the 90s, you know, no, excuse me. It was like still doing hip hop. It wasn't the 90s anymore. This is around 2006, 2005, 2006. I'm still like focused as a rapper as to what it is that I'm still trying to figure myself out. That's how I described it to the guy who was writing the book. Like, I was lost. The rock thing kind of like threw me for a loop, because I was like, I no longer feel like the guy with the fitted hat and the faded haircut and the diamond earring anymore. I don't feel like that.
That's wild, you know?
I don't feel like that.
We
start the other way around, I feel like.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like I have a friend who's a professional musician, he's a drummer, and he wanted to get into hip hop stuff, obviously Mark. Mm-hmm. And whenever we would get together, he was like, "Oh, you know, help me meet some people." I'm thinking like, well, okay, so now it's like two rock guys, and we're trying to figure out how to write a hip hop song. And we're just like, give us a guitar, give us drums, give us anything, we'll write a song. But like, we're just like, oh, how do you like? We have a beat and a drum. Like, it's so different. So it has to be like what you were thinking on the flip side.
Yeah. But it was also here in my soul. I didn't dig the world anymore.
Yeah,
I didn't like it. Matter of fact, there's a mixtape cover, Street Supreme, that came out in the middle of all of that, right? And I look at that cover, that person who's me, but I don't like him. It looks stupid to me. Like, I'm like, I'm not, that's not me. That's somebody that lost his identity and doesn't know what he wants to do. So he still puts on the fitted hat, and it's matching with his shirt. He's got the diamond bling, and he's got the short haircut, and he's trying to look some way, but it looks fucking stupid to me. And I lost contact with that spirit, and I was like, this is not working. But what's interesting is, when the guy from Tribal called, I knew who Korn was, but I didn't know who Korn was, because I'm still in this hip hop world, and I know who Jay-Z is.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm like, sure. That's how I answer. Sure. Okay. No problem. And I had to like go and do like a crash course on their music, because I didn't know what to expect. You know, I don't know what it is that this guy wants to do.
I was around Issues.
No, this is when See You on the Other Side it was about to be released, or just released, but I was there for like that moment in their history. So, and I remember because he gave me stickers and stuff. So I booked my own flight, and the guy from Tribal picks me up, and we drive out to where he lives, Laguna Hills, and we pull up, and I'm looking at this mansion. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I didn't know. I was clueless. We walk in. This guy got an elevator in his house. It's
God damn, elevator
like
in the house.
7 cars.
good
It's
to be
like
filthy.
it looked. Yeah, it was so. And the thing is, what's interesting is he was just chill, which I didn't. I was warned that he was the worst member. People were actually afraid for me to do it. And as soon as he came out the house, hey, what's up, dude? You know, want to go to Del Taco? It's like a fast food restaurant. I'm like, sure.
If you want.
So we drive out. I didn't know what a Del Taco was. I'm from Brooklyn. So we get there and I'm like, oh, we're going to a fast food restaurant. Cool, man. Like, okay, he's
Like a
chill.
Taco Bell.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't know what to expect. He was like really nice and really chill and like cracking jokes. And
Did he know your work?
he was presenting my work from the guy from Tribe.
Okay.
So that's good that you bring that up. So this is where how interesting the story goes. So we go back to his studio. I brought in an engineer and a DJ, and I open up my MPC. He takes out his bass, and we're just going back and forth. And this was the birth of the song "Killing Myself to Live," where I programmed everything. I played all the stuff. He played bass, a little bit of guitar, and I didn't write it though, the lyrics yet. I'm thinking he wants "Vengeance Is Mine," Q Unique, the psycho who fucking says crazy shit, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We finished the track. The track is, I think it's cool. It's a cool track. So I'm like packing up. He goes, "Hey, dude, if you want, you could kick it here. There's a spare section in my castle." He didn't say castle. I say
Yeah,
castle.
You heard Castle.
Right. I see castle.
Yeah. I'd sleep in the elevator if you let me.
So, you know, we kick it. We're chilling. Now, the next day I get up and I'm automatically like, I want to get out. You know, I don't want to overstay my welcome. I don't know this guy, you know.
Yeah.
So I go down, we listen to the track once or twice, and then I'm like, we're packing up. And he goes, "Hey, can I speak to you for a second?" Like, okay. So we go out to his garage and he goes, "I really dig what you do. You're really good at what you do. Really, really good. Do me a favor though. When you write the lyrics to this, don't curse." I was like, that's a weird request. I didn't say that to him. I was like, okay, and challenge accepted.
Right.
And you know, if you guys want, you could kick it for the rest of the day. I gotta go do something. I'm like, cool. But as soon as he left, I was like, we gotta go, because I didn't want to break anything. I don't want nothing coming on me. So I was like, chill. We're gonna get out of here. And here's where the comedy starts. I go home. I forget about the song. I go right back into Q Unique mode. I'm not even thinking of Fieldy, nothing. I'm just like, you know, start writing between heaven and hell. I'm like thinking of different things to do. And then the guy from Tribal calls. He goes, "Hey, what's up with that track?" I'm like, "Oh, right, the track. Crazy. Like, I'm doing a track with Fieldy from Korn, the biggest piece of music in my catalog at that time." And I'm like, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So he and I start talking, and he's like, "Well, what's the holdup?" And I was like, "You know what? I don't even know what to really talk about. You know, I don't know where to go with this." And he goes, "Well, what happened while you were there?" And I was like, "You know what was weird? As we were writing the music, Head, the guitar player, called. He had just left Korn, and he was trying to get Fieldy to quit. And Fieldy, who I just met, was turning to me and saying, 'This is my ex-guitar player. He wants me to quit. What should I do?' And I'm like, I don't know you, man. I don't know. Like, so I'm like trying to come up with answers. Like, you know, I know for me, when I see a band that I love break up, it's as a fan, it's heartbreaking. So you might want to think about that. But I didn't know what to tell him.
Should have been like, well, I don't know. Do you want to get rid of the place or not? 'Cause, I mean,
Do you like the Castle?
do you like
Unique?
You might lose the elevator.
Yeah.
So he was like, the guy from Tribal, Bobby, his name is, he goes, "You should write about that. Write about him." And I was like, that's a good idea. And that's where Killing Myself to Live. The whole song is about Head from Korn. When he found out that I wrote about him, he was blown away. He was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "No, that whole song is about you." You know, watching you go through this crazy religious ride and giving things up and tattooing yourself and giving away your things from corn and drugs. It's the whole song is about you. You were killing yourself to live.
I read Head's book and Fieldy's book, and it's like a interesting thing because of that change and it's a lot
Yes.
around that time. Yeah.
Fieldy actually mentioned me in his book, and Head mentioned me in his new book, which for me is super surreal. Like it, Fieldy talks about when he left me in his house that day. That when I told you, he was like, "Yo, you guys can kick it. I'm gonna go. I got to take care of something with my father-in-law." He mentions it in the book. So when I read it, I was like, "Holy shit!" You know, like I can't even believe he put this in print. Like this is crazy. You know.
And now they're all back together in the band,
They're all back together
except for the drummer.
the drummer. No,
Yeah.
Right.
but
I always say Joey Silvera, but it's Dave.
it's Dave. Yeah.
The other guys.
Joey Jordison is Slipknot.
Yeah.
But can I say something?
Yeah.
We were talking about this on the ride here.
Oh, it's very much like that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hear me out.
I don't know. I want to hear this.
And even more so, like you have a quality. This doesn't take away from your work ethic, which is huge, and we're talking about it. But you have like a Forrest Gump quality.
Yes.
Where like you're talking about.
I've said that to myself.
I'm just starting to like get interested in breakdancing. Who comes walking by? Crazy
Crazy
Legs to like
Legs, yeah.
show you the way. Then you're like, I'm pretty much digging this rock stuff. One of the
Fieldy
biggest
Fun.
bands in the world gives you a call.
People, you know how many demos people have mailed
Oh,
Fieldy?
Yeah,
I've seen
how
them.
many-
Probably.
There's a
I
mountain
physically have seen
as
people
high as his
giving-
castle.
Yeah.
Filled with demos.
Yeah.
But the thing you said before too, which is that Michael Jackson talking about
God
how
is in the room.
God is in the room.
Yeah.
If that's true, and it could be, is you're either pulling it in,
Yes.
or he's pushing you together. Or
Exactly.
There's
The universe is at work. The universe is at work.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could take a moment that happened on the road. Chi from the Deftones got into an accident, right? Fieldy turns to me and goes, "I want me and you to write a song for Chi, but we're gonna do it with a bunch of who's who in rock." I'm like We Are the World? He's like, "Yes, but no vocals." So I end up producing a track with the bass player from Metallica. I'm not gonna say names, but you know Rob Trujillo.
Yeah,
you
we'll
know,
say it for you.
Yeah, Rob
Yeah.
Trujillo. Man, I wish I had the list in front of me. Wayne from Hatebreed, Adam from Killswitch. I don't remember everybody. And I'm the guy recording them with my laptop. I'm sitting right next to them, talking about Forrest Gump. and I'm recording these people into my computer, into my laptop, and I have to produce it, and I have to piece it together, and it's up to me to put it together. And Fieldy's the ambassador. He's getting everybody to come to the room and plug into my computer and play. And it was, you're talking a few months ago, I was in Brooklyn trying to figure out if I wanted to even rap anymore. And here I am thrusted into this world.
Right.
And I'm like, there's Rob Trujillo, and he's plugged into my computer playing bass on a track that I'm producing. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense, but it makes all the sense in the world at the same time.
Right.
So
You're like inspired to basically just head in that direction. Then you're just like,
the universe pulled me in.
yeah,
Because if at that crossroad where I told you with the Street Supreme cover, it could have went either way. I thought in my mind that if I'm going to do rap music, then I need to be hanging out with Jay-Z. I need to be running with Fat Joe or something. I can't. The ceiling in underground hip hop is weird to me. Even though we mentioned some of the people that I think are very successful, like Vinny, like Slug, but that's a handful of people.
Run the Jewels is like a phenomenon.
Yeah, that
like,
compared to how many people do underground, that's we're naming 4 or 3 or 4 people that have actually a nice successful ride.
Right.
So I saw myself that if I was going to do it, I needed to rub shoulders with, major league players, and then all of a sudden the universe goes, "Nope, you're going this way, and I'm going to pave the fucking road for you." Rob Trujillo in my computer, and I'm producing it, and I'm. The stories are so bizarre.
yeah, man. We're gonna pick it up there. We're just gonna take a quick break.
Okay.
But I'm just like a fly in the wall. If you seen what I saw, you could have saw, seen it all. Got to see a lot on this journey through music. If you seen what I saw, you could have saw, seen it all. Just want to share with you some of the things I got to see. If you seen what I saw, you pigs wearing sheepskin boots. Seen me with the arsonist overseas with the roots. Seen a Tribe Called Quest record lyrics to go. The source gave him 4 mics, the critics don't know. Seen Busta Rhymes chop locks and go clean cut. Seen Big Pun go off the books with the beat nuts. Seen Rock Raid across the fader with his right and left hands. I seen Nas, the main source, live at the wetlands. Seen Paul Rosenberg leave the Slim Shady EP for consignment. And seen Fat Beats change the climate. I seen a whole lot of history. A whole lot of history. Such a blessing, what a kid can see. What a kid can see. Some of y'all seen what I seen.
Okay, so now that we're back, I just wanted to maybe, if you could round out what you're doing with Stillwell, and even I know you've done other things with Fieldy.
So the beauty of the Stillwell thing, it kind of like when we were talking about school. Now vocally, that in particular was the lane for me to take in order to become who I am now with King's Bounty. I needed Stillwell. It was like I needed to fall on my face in order to get where I am and understand what it is to do vocals properly. Mm-hmm. So we did the first album, Dirtbag, and there was a lot of behind the scenes hijinks that made that album come out the way it did. We didn't have a producer, and Fieldy got demo-itis, and he changed a lot of things at the last minute. Never change anything in the 9th inning is my motto.
Demo-itis.
Yeah.
That's a new one I'm using.
You know what? He explained what demo-itis is, but just the name, I was like, I know what he means.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when you're sitting on a demo for too long and all of a sudden you feel like you're like, I've heard this too long. I want to see something, but it wasn't a smart move in my opinion. And he pressed that album and got us on an arena tour. My first rock tour was an arena tour. Aside from the Vans Warped Tour, like
all right, Forrest Gump.
Exactly. And we're opening up for Korn, Disturbed, In This Moment, and Seven Dust.
Oh, shout out to Jeff Fab.
Yes, he's the homie. He's a good guy.
Right, yeah,
yes.
Long Island.
Actually, Jeff Fab reached out to me a year ago, and he said he wanted to do work with me, and then he disappeared. But I see he's busy.
Jeff Fab's the drummer for Trip Phase.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, like I do another show, and we had him on that show. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's Long Island, man. It's super cool.
Yeah, he's a great
I just
guy.
hung out with him. He plays drums for Black Label Society.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So we do this tour, and I quickly discover, without too many details, that I definitely didn't know what I was doing as a vocalist. And a few people behind the scenes were helping, you know, as far as what to do, what approach to take musically, blah, blah. Even Jonathan Davis was giving me vocal warm-up stuff.
So you were losing your voice?
No, I just didn't know I had no idea what I was doing. It's like I'm singing notes that in the studio I could do like 10 takes and get it right.
Right.
On stage, you don't get 10 takes, man. You just got to pop right into that note. So I'm trying to hit these notes, and I knew we were challenging ourselves when Fieldy was like, we're going to do the whole album in standard tuning. And I was like, that's not my range, man. Like that's I don't belong there, and I don't like standard. I want something dropped, you know. But he was trying to get away from the shadow of Korn. I understand what his challenge was. My challenge was that I didn't want to sing in standard tuning. So about 4 shows in, somebody, I don't know if it was Tommy Vexed or somebody like that, had went to Fieldy and was like, hey, Q shouldn't be singing in standard. You need to drop the tuning on him. So he listened to the guy. He listens to the other guy tell him. He didn't listen to me. So he dropped the tuning, and then I found my pocket, and that was that. And when we finished the tour and we finished that whole first album with Stillwell, I'm thinking, all right, that's it. The experience is over. That was cool. And he actually called me. He was like, we got to do another one. We got to. And we brought in a producer, and the producer was the first person, his name is Chris Collier, was the first person to say, vocally, this is where you belong. Vocally, this is what you're supposed to do. Vocally. And he started like showing me the right steps. So that second album, Raise It Up, is where you could see I'm more comfortable. I'm more in a pocket. I'm doing the things the right way. And the producer tied everything up much better than that first album. Mm-hmm. So when I was done with that, we were working on his solo bass album. And during that time, Ray Luzier, who's the drummer for Korn, and his tech Catfish, because they're both classically trained, that they went to school for what they do, they stepped to me and they were like, Q, look, you do this seriously.
Mm-hmm.
When you go home, go sort out a vocal teacher, a vocal coach, something, and do it for a while.
Right.
So when I got home, I asked around and I found this woman named Jennifer Smolos who teaches at the Opera Building on 30th Street. So I ended up doing that for half a year, and it just took my game to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I took vocal lessons too, and shout out to Melissa Cross.
Oh, I went to Melissa Cross as well for screaming.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she, man, it was like the best thing that I could have done as a guy who sings in a band.
Right.
So, and I don't do we don't do screamy stuff, but just vocally in general, it just helps. And I have the warm ups. I even have the app and all this other shit. And sometimes I get lazy.
Yeah.
And if I know we're playing some hole in the wall local place that we always play, I'm like, I'm not gonna do warm ups. And then if I sound like shit, I'm like, I should have done.
The warm ups are so serious, man.
I went to Don Lawrence, and that was the same. I had like an insecurity, like, we're just in a hardcore band. He's like, it doesn't matter.
No.
These are the fundamentals. He did the same thing. I can hear what you're doing wrong. And then the other thing too is like, all of a sudden you start to take what you do seriously.
Much serious.
I would warm up for 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and the set would be 20 minutes, and I had no problem. with it.
No.
I was like, I don't care. And
listen,
it changes your whole mindset.
as a martial artist, you have to warm up before you get on that mat, or you'll do something really bad. And it's the same thing. It's like as a vocalist, you're going out on that stage and there's that adrenaline and that nervousness, that anxiety, and you want to be able to control that and to be warm and all stretched out with the warm-ups and stuff.
Just hit the ground running.
So important, man. So important. So that they were the two that really were like, go, stop joking around, like, be serious. You're serious. You're like producing records and singing on them and touring and opening up for different bands. I mean,
like all eyes on you.
Yeah.
Like you're not playing to like 20 people somewhere, and which is fine, but like you're like you now at that level, you got to bring it.
You got to be very serious.
Yeah,
so
man.
They were the ones that pushed for that, and that's how that all came about, which led me to King's Bounty, where that's the band that I have with Mike DeJean. And what's interesting about working with Mike is that he and I are part of this parallel universe that we kind of came up at the same time, but ended up doing different things, but at the same level.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he's another one that just does, he's done a pop group, he's done hardcore, he's done rock, and honestly, the first record deal I signed, I was writing for CNC Music Factory.
Replacing Freedom Williams, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
That's bananas. Like, like that
I've
box
said
of
it before,
chocolates, man.
and I've said it again. Forrest Gump.
Yeah, man. Like,
so he and I have this parallel universe where we've done a lot of crazy, interesting things, and all of a sudden, it was through Riggs, who played drums for Madball and Hatebreed, that he was like, "You need to meet Mike DeJean. I think you should jam with Mike DeJean." And he was on point. He was perfect partnership.
Yeah, because Q, most people who start doing music in that world don't get Mike DeJean.
No.
But Q Unique gets Mike DeJean.
yeah, definitely.
His guitar playing and the way we write music matches perfectly. He's odd, and I'm odd the way I think. So it's perfect. And what we've done with King's Bounty has been, in my eyes, perfect for me, perfect for him. We're in negotiations right now with a record deal. Since we've began, it's only been about close to 4 years now. Mm-hmm. We've already opened up for Korn 5 times. We've opened up for POD twice. We've opened up for Seven Dust. We've opened up for Jonathan Davis. We've opened up for Nuclear Assault.
Nice.
And all to full houses. We've done some crappy shows too, where there's like 5 people in the audience too.
Most importantly, Heavy Metal Kings.
Heavy Metal Kings was there with Nuclear Assault as well. That's right. And La Coca Nostra.
That's
La
right.
Coca Nostra took us out, which was the turning point for me. Mike at first didn't understand it, but then he got it. It was like, I'm about to go in front of the audience that knows me for a long time, doing one thing, and they're gonna see me doing something totally different.
Yeah,
and they bought it.
Yeah, man.
They bought it.
And it's funny, like years later, like it's like a high school reunion kind of, because you guys are doing music, but it's all different. Like everyone's like
they didn't know anything that was going on. So the audience and the thing is, I think because I made light of it, where in the middle of the set, I'm like, I know you're thinking, why is Q Unique wearing a wig right now singing, and it made people like,
that's funny. Yeah.
So it made people like breathe with me, like it's not that serious, but then again it is, but not serious enough where you guys just are turned off by what I'm doing. Enjoy it, and it worked. And that was, to me, the blessing that I got from my community, the underground community, by saying, go ahead, Q, do you.
Yeah.
And we're gonna roll with you. And
yeah, because you're a genuine dude, and this is where you're at, and people respect it because it's not like some fabrication.
No,
it's not like you're like, oh, now I want to try this.
No.
It's like, nah, like if
there's a story behind it.
People that listen to this, and we do reach, a pretty decent amount of people. They will listen. Like for someone like me, like listening to these stories, it's like, I don't know, to fill in these blanks as to like where you were, what you were doing. What a fucking trip.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
So, and then, King's Bounty, you guys also did a really cool Suicidal Tendencies cover.
That was my idea. Mike wasn't really excited about it. I was, and I think it came out really good.
It came out fucking awesome.
Thank you, man.
It came out really good, man. Yeah. I didn't know. We just heard it.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I just, we got a few covers on the hard drive, but that was the first one. That was the first band we ever covered that we wrapped it up, and I was like, yeah, I want to leak this. I'm really happy with this. I really loved the original song, so it was a lot of fun to be able to do that.
You in a full length, right? No, you don't have a full length.
No, we put out 3 songs. One of them being that cover, song Denial, and Made You King.
Great. I think that might be my favorite.
Thank you.
Made You King, definitely.
Yeah,
the chorus, like we were talking about, like it very reminiscent, like some of those harmonies of Alice in Chains, which I love.
Yeah, we both like Alice in Chains.
People have said that to me.
Yeah,
I love saying it's one of my all-time favorite bands.
Yo,
so.
Dirt is like
Yeah,
one of the best albums ever made.
It is.
Still stands.
It is. It's definitely one of the best albums ever made, and to this day, I still buy everything that they put out. Big fan of Jerry Cantrell. So
with the singer, new guy Will, right? Is that his name? Fucking great.
I think he's doing a great job.
Right?
I think I'm happy that they're still around.
Yeah.
I love their brand of music. Do they inspire me? Yes. They're one of those bands that. When people, when people older than me, they take from the Beatles or the Stones or whatever it is they're taking from. I personally, when people ask me, well, what rock did you listen to in those years that you were being inspired, it would have to be Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana, Alice in Chains.
Wow.
That's the group.
The K-Rock world.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I don't want to sound like I'm 100 years old, but that 90s
that's the era that left an impression on me the most. Sure. Do I love the Beatles? Sure I do. Do I love Metallica? Sure I do. But if you listen to the way Q Unique writes lyrics, and it's a very dark, emotional place, I draw from Eddie Vedder. I draw from Lane Staley. I'm not drawing from James Hetfield on that. He's more of a, I don't know. I've always found he writes good, like go get 'em type, attitude lyrics, whereas Lane and Kurt and them, they wrote more from a place of pain, and I related to it because of what I seen as a child growing up. So I instantly gravitated towards that, and I was able to take what they did and put it on Vengeance's mind in my own way. So one of the major influences of the first Q Unique album was the grunge movement. Even though I don't like calling it grunge, because I feel like individually those bands have their own sound.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
You have to describe it to certain people that way because that's how they were fed.
Not to us.
Yeah.
We're music geeks.
Right. But for listeners that don't really, there's some people that just not into that scene at all. I happen to love that scene.
Yo, I told you, my brother is 6 years younger, and growing up, like I listened to everything, but he was like hip hop.
Right.
Like he didn't know nothing, and now he's 34. I'm 40, and now he'll text me. He'll be like, "Yo, Nevermind's a pretty good album," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty good." And then like a month later, he's like, "Yo, Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses." Like, it's pretty good.
Solid album.
I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm like, I like the Infamous too, but like, you could have ventured out from other things. So.
Yeah.
Now, that brings us to your solo record, which I
Yes.
want to touch on before we wrap this up. You were definitely one of those dudes that, like, when I saw you were on a track, like, you were the verse I was waiting for.
Thanks,
Because
man.
I knew you were going to kill it.
Thank
you take something like 14 years of rap, like, everyone was waiting for Q's verse.
Channeling my inner Busta Rhymes scenario.
On that one. But, yeah, 14 years of rap got you underground dap. Are you still past that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even the underground rap scene to me is something that is part of my past. I don't pay that close attention to it as I used
I
to.
was just tying in the stupid song. No worries. Okay, so the record's called The Mechanic.
Yes.
Great cover, by the way.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Nuabe artist. He's a comic book artist from France.
Okay.
And he actually did the Black Coffee cover.
Oh,
And
okay.
I actually got that cover done before the Black Coffee cover. I've been sitting on it for a few years because that goes into the story about Vinny. After Black Coffee was done, I didn't think that I was going to do any hip hop anytime soon. And it looked pretty bad as far as for the people that love Q Unique. It looked like I was at the end of the road. Like I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of any of this mumble rap circus going on and what's going on on the internet and how this is all working. I don't get it. So as I was going deeper and deeper into King's Bounty and whatever else I was doing with the bass album with Fieldy and just venturing out, it's funny because Mike DeJean, Lou Medina, and one other person, might have been my son, who were like, "Hey, don't leave that hip hop shit. You got to do that. Like, you can't stop now."
Yeah.
And I'm like, why not? Like, who cares?
And you made arguably your best solo record.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Thanks, man. I don't know. I just put them out, and it is what it is.
I've listened to all of them, and I think arguably these 11 songs are the best solo record that you
Thank
did.
you.
So that's
Vinny Paz was the last person.
That's on our podcast wish list too. We'll get it.
Which was a surprise because you don't know who's listening. Now, look, he and I have known each other for a very long time. We're good friends. But when it comes to music, you don't know. I'm not. Hey, listen to my.
Right.
Sometimes I do, but not all the time. So he reaches out to me out of the clear blue, and he's like, "That Black Coffee album, it was cool. I just felt like, and he gave me his critique, and I was like, cool, thanks." He goes, "You know what you need? You need some new beats." And he proceeds to send me a zip of like hundreds of beats from different producers. And in my head, I'm like, why is he doing this?
Yeah.
I don't get it. He gets nothing by helping me.
Right.
There's no money involved. There's nothing. He just did it. And it like got me emotional because it's like in hip hop, you don't really see a lot of people saying, "Hey, let me help you out, pal."
Mm-hmm.
It's an individual game. Everybody's a front man.
Right.
It's no band.
Right.
So it was like, aside from Ill Bill, he was one of those few dudes that was like, "I want to help you." And because of him, the songs "Thank You for Letting Me," "Games People Play," "Let the Games Begin," and "I Seen" got done like instantly. And this is weeks before I put the album out. So now, as he's pushing me to do this, I'm like looking around, seeing what I got, writing and putting things together, because I took it as a sign. I'm like, if this dude is reaching out to me, he has no invested stock.
Yeah.
He's not my label. He's got nothing. But he's like, "Hey, don't forget this part of you. Do this. Here, I'm here. Here's beats. You need beats? Here, do it. Just do it." And it got done. And
That's incredible.
Shout out to Vinny Paz.
yes.
Yeah, man. So going through the record, look up
Look Up in the Sky.
Look Up in the Sky, and I just wrote tons because there's so many like references in there, and I think it's a really cool opening track. The way I took it, just basically like a return, kind of like, hey, look up in the sky, and everything that you say, you bring everyone up to speed, which is cool.
Yes.
You know, you grew your hair long, you're on tour with Korn,
Yeah.
all this other shit. So I think that's a great opening track. I mean,
Even just looking forward to this interview, going back through some of your old stuff, he said, listen to the first 3
Yeah.
songs on this record. And I was like, wow, there's a lot here about your past and
Yes.
where you're at, where you're from. And like, right
That's
up till the present
exactly
day.
how you described it, like getting people up to speed.
it sparked me, and that's the song that hit me like when I first listened to it, that I'm like, man, I gotta hit him up, because listening to that song and then the next 3, I'm like, I feel like I could put a podcast together just on
the
this.
record. Yeah,
You know, just on the record, but then on top of the fucking history.
right. We kind of did.
You know? Then Bad Guy.
Yes.
What I really liked, me personally, was the sample. I like the Goodfellas sample. You know, where Henry
Yeah.
Hill's talking
Yeah, he's
about
talking
it.
about the villain.
And then it got us thinking, because I know you'd produce as well, the lost art of chopping the hook. You know?
Yep.
Like, I fucking miss that, and I love that. And people still do it, but not as much. And we were wondering if it's because it's hard to clear samples.
I can't say that I don't think about any of that stuff for me personally. I don't know why people. I think people just look at it as an old art form,
Right.
an old way of doing things. So I just think that in their heads they're going with some sort of weird evolution that's happening. Which leaves me in a place where I don't understand.
Got it. Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
want to sound 100 years old, but lost art. Stop me if you've heard this before. But that chopping up.
Okay, so thank you for letting me be myself. We were talking about, you thank Vinny Paz.
Yeah.
So I know we had that conversation. He definitely helped you with the record, or at least pushing you forward to it.
Is that title to like saying to Vinny, or is that just saying to
That's
everybody?
I think it was after the La Coca Nostra run where I could see people allowing me to do whatever it is that I was doing. Because I know that first Stillwell album, even for myself, it was hard for people to give me a pass. And I get it, because it's hard for me to listen to it. It's hard for me to like go through. But I need it, even though it's hard for me to look back at that first Stillwell album, Dirtbag. I needed that in order to test myself, to make sure that I was serious about becoming a vocalist. Because usually somebody will try something and they'll fail, and they'll never return to it. It's like, forget that moment. And for me, it was like I needed to fall to make sure that I was going to do this for real. That's how that second Stillwell album came out. That's how the King's Bounty album is about to come out. So it was thanking everybody for allowing me to not only be Q Unique, but Q the guy in King's Bounty, and Q the guy in Stillwell, and Q the guy who produces this guy, and Q on TV.
Everything,
And thank you.
And also, you're old in rap years, but when it came to rock, you were still young.
Right.
So when I started playing music, I was 24. All my friends were in bands, and one day I was like, oh, I'm going to try to write a song. So every growing pain that I went through in my mid-20s playing and writing music, everyone went through when they were 16.
Right.
So listening back to those songs, I'm just like, shit, if I was 10 years older, I would know how to do it.
Right.
So yeah, it's like that weird thing that I think maybe happened as well. So
Right. And I'm thankful that people can now accept me for who I am. And I'm happy that I don't have to try to put out this image of, I'm a rapper, so I have to put on the rapper costume.
Hey, you look like a rapper. No.
But it's also
The
lyrically,
dichotomy.
Yeah.
The dichotomy of like, being peaceful and the UFC
UFC
knockout.
punch. Yeah.
And just basically everything that we were talking about, like
That's the balance I found. That's the balance that makes me happy, is to be able to balance the two. I don't agree with extremist mind states. Even when we were talking earlier about how certain people get into a lane of music and that's all that they can hear, and you have to do it a specific way. I find that to be extremism. It's like that's too extreme. It's not necessary. Me personally, I don't agree with the extremist mind state. I think that things need a balance.
And just, sometimes things don't make sense. You like we were talking about Joe Rogan before. I like to listen to him because he talks about yoga and meditation,
Right.
but he talks about fighting and fucking.
Right, and
that
weed.
was growing up in New York, like we liked, we would fuck with each other, but we were nice guys.
Right,
You get into a
exactly.
fight, but you're not
Right.
gangsters. So I just feel like what I see a lot of times is people trying to pick a thing, then and a thread has to match all of
Yeah.
those
Right,
things.
which
and
is
and we're
absurd.
complex
Right.
people.
Right.
Men are complex in the way that we think, and like hearing this back and forth, this dichotomy, like Sam said,
I'm street rugged, but I love to read comic books.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it just
no apologies.
Right,
That's
no
also
apologies.
that's also a Sean Price thing too.
Right.
He's definitely a big comic book dude. So I got Ill Bill here. So No Country for Old Men, and then he is also on the Cult Leader in Capital.
Yes.
I love the relationship because I remember when after Date of Birth, you signed to Uncle Howie.
Yes.
And then you went solo. For the solo, so it was like completely different.
From Arsonist, big change.
Very much so. But then also like it was just the label was that way. Like everyone kind of like it was just like
You get it.
Yeah.
I've had to explain that to people
Oh, no,
because
yeah, I
they
get
didn't
it.
grasp it.
I remember.
I went from a hip hop group to a circle of lions.
Yeah, man.
So you better be a lion or a wolf, and Bill helped me evolve as a lyricist. That's the best way to say it. He saw what I was doing and he put his twist on it. So he was there for the entire recording of him and Uncle Howie were there for the entire writing and recording of Vengeance Is Mine. And he would just give input when it was necessary. And
So lyrically gifted, Bill.
yes,
And also, like you said, he did the flip side. He did
Right.
the rock band, and then he did the hip hop.
right.
So, like
So
the
we
flip to
both
you.
went like this. Exactly.
Wild, right? So, and he's still a big metalhead, which
Yeah.
I love. So,
Yeah. big-
shout out to
He's a music guy.
he's a music guy.
He's a music guy. He knows his music.
The song "Let the Games Begin" could be on whatever radio. I don't know what stations are big now, but this shit, who did the production on that?
That's DJ Matt Bay. That's the producer that I met through Vinny. That's what changed everything.
Yo,
That's what changed everything.
that beat in the hook,
Yeah. Thank you.
and you're singing the hook
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Like it's everything. We said that. Just every bit of music that you've accumulated was like showcased on that.
He brought everything together well on that track as
Yeah.
far as musically.
Cool. Yeah, I think people are really gonna dig that. So You Know Me, which is
That's more of a boom bap,
Yeah.
return to boom bap. I feel like as much as I've moved on with my life, there's always going to be that admiration for boom bap. It's just,
that's what we said.
That's
And
what we were saying. Like you
staying
you know,
the path.
as much as you move and evolve,
Yes.
it's nice to like get in the handball court, take your shirt off,
Exactly,
and start,
exactly.
like and
It's-
just
it's-
go
back to the hood
Yeah.
and-
It's a banging like New York
Yeah.
like.
exactly.
But also it says, does it say RSE?
RSC, Rocksteady Crew.
Because in my head I'm like, is he shouting out Rhymesayers Crew? Like, okay, all right, that made sense. And then we also love the just that you threw in A Tribe Called Quest. That little bit in there.
But that's because I told you earlier there was an early connection to them and early in my career, and I wish it could have. Obviously now it doesn't matter, but back then me and the guy who used to rhyme with me, we always wish we could have been in the native tongues because we were in the fucking circle, so we
Yeah.
were looking at each other like. Be kind of cool if we can like be a part of this movement,
Right.
But
And to this day, I mean, like, I think the Low End Theory is like one of the best
Oh, jeez.
albums. Like, you hear it as soon as you drop Excursions, like everyone knows.
a godly
back
album.
in the days when it was teenage,
Godly, yeah.
totally. So Brooklyn Stomp, we were going through the record as well, so it was just, like a Brooklyn love letter.
That's an interesting one because I did that with Ayatollah, and he left the samples where they were. So instead of like taking them off, I was like, what's going to make this interesting is that I rap around those samples. And when he heard it, he was like, yo, you want to do an album? And I was like,
Yo,
Yeah,
I just got back to rapping. Relax. Yo, how is like, what's the breath control difference when you do the band to when you're doing the hip hop shit? Because like man, like you were fucking working hard at that Jedi Mind Trick show.
It's much more with rapping because I feel like you're using the vocal cords much different, and I'm saying like so many, because some of those songs are dated. So when I wrote like the Arsonist stuff, there's a lot of words in
A lot
them.
of words.
So I'm like taking big breaths of air, and I'm like just like letting them out, and so the breath control is much more different. And the only thing I walked away with is that I wish I would have had my in-ears when I did those shows, because I have some in-ears when I do King's Bounty stuff. I found that I have a problem listening to monitors. I didn't think I did, but once I did that Jedi Mind Tricks run, I was like, I really do have a problem locating where my voice is in all of this ocean of sound. I don't, it doesn't register. Even I'm rapping, and I thought it wasn't that important, but then
Right.
I was like, really like where the fuck is my voice? I don't hear me, you know? And I was like, one of those learning experiences. So
All right, so I got the last three here. So Ignorant Genius, you know,
Nems.
we were talking about how someone, Nems killed it. He was at the show too,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
I love that shit. We were talking about, you know, like coming from a group like the Arsonist. A lot of people just don't, you know, I guess think of you as someone who will get that
aggressive.
ignorant.
Yeah.
But it must be fun to do it every now and then.
Oh, it's a breath of fresh air.
It is, right?
I don't. There's moments on Vengeance's mind that I'm like, oh, I can't believe I said that. But
Yeah, now you went in on that one.
yeah. But now it's more like it's well thought out ignorance.
Yeah.
So it's levels of ignorance that I'm not afraid to say.
You said
But
quarter water.
Yeah, in the Wall Street Journal or
Yeah,
something.
man.
In Philly. Yeah.
So, all right. So, did you? Track 10 is I Seen, which is like basically your life, basically this podcast.
It's my walk through hip hop though specifically. I didn't.
okay,
I didn't-
yeah, you're right, you're right.
Yeah, I kept that one specific.
In the video,
It's
is
coming out Monday, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, whatever. It's we're in podcast time. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, everything.
You
there's
got
some
you have to
real-
wait till HR comes out, then you'll come.
Yeah. There's such specific things in there. We were
Yeah.
like, you know, it's not like he's like, I witnessed the World Series. It's like I'm in the dugout with Derek Jeter.
Exactly.
You know, like
I was trying to be there was certain points to it that I couldn't tell the detail. Like when I talk about Busta Rhymes, I do have stories with Busta Rhymes. That wasn't very specific what I said, and the big
chop
pun.
off his locks.
Yeah. And the big pun story was I was actually on the side of the stage, and I didn't know he was brand new to hip hop, so I didn't know what to expect, because all I knew was the song Off the Books with the Beat Nuts. That was like,
yeah.
And then when I saw him coming skipping on the fucking stage, I was like, what the fuck? Because we didn't know. I didn't know what he looked like, so it was like shocking. It was like, oh shit, that's
Yeah,
Big Pun, huh? Okay. So
Yeah, so the video, and for me, what I took from that was two things. I'm a big Sick Jackin' fan.
Mm-hmm.
Man, like he put out Warporn Industries, which might have been my favorite hip hop
that's
record
the one
of
with
last year.
Everlast. Right.
Yo, Divine Stylers beat like he chopped up Dazed and Confused by Led Zeppelin.
Yep.
Yo, it's like the most ridiculous record I heard. Hopefully you do some stuff with Sick Jack.
Well, I've done in the past.
No,
you know.
you've done in the past.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe like an EP
We'll
or
see.
some shit.
You know what? I don't know where I go from here. I'll be honest with you. The only thing that I have planned for the mechanic now, because it is doing well for me, is I'm dropping a video on Monday for I Seen, and then we're filming a video for Cult Leader in Capital, because that's the most streamed song off that album.
Oh yeah. People love Bill.
Yeah.
You know.
And they love the back and forth that we've done a few other times. We've done it on his I can't think of the name of the fucking album.
Black Metal.
No, the one that he put out. It's Manson versus Berkowitz is the song where he and I are going back and forth. Oh. And we did another one called "Listen to the Words," which was off of Marvel's Team Up. People just like the dynamic of our voices going back and forth.
Wow, I liked it. Was you, Bill, and Sick.
Yes, that was on Black Metal.
Was that Brujeria?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
a really good
That's
track.
a banger.
Yeah, that's
Woo!
a really good track. That's a good
All
one.
right, and last one is Putting in Your Work.
Yeah.
Which we think sums up your fucking life. We are like this guy, you know, even when you said on the record Vengeance Is Mine, where you basically hang with legends, but when it comes to whatever, you keep it, push the pavement, and it's like you do your thing.
Right.
You separate the two, so that's self-explanatory. So we salute you on that, because
Thank you.
you put in your work, and,
Thank
and
you.
man,
I appreciate that, man.
a fan, right? You got anything?
Yeah, I learned a lot from you, Q. You know what I learned from you? I learned everybody needs a Papa Wu.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely.
I learned that you take your work seriously.
Yes.
You take your family seriously, but
Yeah.
you don't take yourself so seriously. And we like people
No,
like that.
I think that as you move further into music, I think that it's like taken from Dave Grohl.
No one's having more fun than Dave Grohl.
Yeah. And when I see that, I'm like, I want to be that.
Yeah.
I could write music, and that's been said, but to be able to get on stage and make people have fun.
Yeah.
That's
He,
what-
like, when he brought up the guy with the Kiss makeup, like that.
Well, the little kid that started playing
yeah,
Metallica.
Metallica. Like,
Brilliant.
No one is having more fun than fucking Dave Grohl.
No, and he's doing it I took my son to see the Foo Fighters when they did Citi Field, and they sold it out 2 nights in a row. So
Yeah.
that's close to 100,000 people,
It's
right? Or
incredible.
something like that.
It's
And
insane.
and we're watching it, and you're listening to him talk, and he did like a PowerPoint presentation on how he broke his leg, and it was with a video clip, and I'm like watching this, and I'm like, this is bizarre, but
Yeah.
he's killing it. It's like, that's what you're supposed to do, or if you have something else in mind, bring it. I just think that theatrics or just making people feel welcomed is extremely important. So I'm at the point now where I just like to have fun and let people know that it's okay to laugh and just enjoy the music, man.
And what else we learned? Life is like a box of chocolates.
That's right. Yeah. We got one more question, and
Yeah.
before I do, I want to shout out my boy Jake in his fucking room for letting us fucking do this in his
Hell yeah,
living
Jake.
room.
Thanks, Jake and the dog.
Thank
Jake
you,
and the
Jake,
dog.
and a very hugging dog.
Yeah, he like Q's
Friendly
leg.
He's a hugger.
He probably sniffed a celebrity out of the 3 and went
He
straight.
almost took down the entire podcast studio trying to. It just ran in between the cords. And
He
got
had
caught up.
questions.
You want to do the last question, George?
Sure. All right. Last question, which we ask all our guests. The name of the podcast is If I Ruled the World. So we ask all our guests, if you, Q Unique, ruled the world, what would that look like?
It'd be unified. I think what I'm witnessing, I don't buy into any movement to the extreme left or right. I feel like they both kind of divide the situation. And I think that a real ruler would have to unify the situation, and that's not what I'm seeing by any side, by any specific person. I'm not going to put the blame on one man. That's absurd, because there's a staff and there's a movement behind that person,
Right.
and nobody's speaking up. They're just going with the flow, as well as the other people on the other side as well. I feel like it's so divided that we need to find some sort of common ground, and we need to start thinking in a more unified way. And in a cliche way, it's kind of scary, because as a kid, you always hear divided we fall, divided we fall, divided we fall. So it's like, I guess we should be preparing to fall, because it's divided, man. It's pretty intense. When I went on tour with Mike and we went to open up for Korn, and we're in middle America, it's not the same vibe,
Right.
and they're not happy, and it's unfortunate that we put so much stock into these people that run things, and they're not really out there like that. They go to their safe little bubbles
Hell yeah.
and speak from their castles. We're the people that have to rub shoulders with each other and get along with each other. So it's unfair. I think it's the wrong thing to do, is divide people just based on. Joe Rogan touched on it once. The team mentality. It sucks. It sucks, the team mentality of, I'm a Yankees fan and that's it, and to hell with you, you're a Red Sox fan. And it's like way out of line. It's like, it's so far out of line now that there's all these little teams, all of these little hashtags running around, and you're like, this is not how this works, man. We're all human. We all kind of want peace. We all want to be happy. The basic necessities. Let's start with that, and let's start working to be a little more unified and together, man, because I think we got more important things to worry about. And a person that's toured the world, when you go into places like India and you see some crazy shit, like the level of poverty is intense. It's intense. Miles and miles of tarp. I'm not talking blocks. Miles. You're in a car and you're driving for miles and you just see tarp and people living out of cardboard and under a tarp. And you're like, you got to be kidding me, man. Right. So you come back here and you see the way people are and you're like, what are you guys so angry about?
Yeah.
Go to South America.
Right.
Want to see something hardcore? Go to South America. Go see how rough life is. And you won't be bitching about, you know, little stupid things that people want to argue about and be divided on. So that, if I had to sum it up, sorry about my tangent, but I've been thinking about it a lot because I'm sitting and I'm watching our little slice of the world just nobody's happy. And you're like, man, we got everything. What is there not to be happy about? Why can't we just figure this out? Because another thing that got me sparked is that I started watching this thing called Fight World on Netflix. And so far, they went through, I've watched the first 2 episodes and they went through some of the most hardest parts of the world. They went to Mexico City and then they go to Thailand. And these people are fighting not because they want to be Conor McGregor. They're fighting because they want to put a loaf of bread on the table. Right. That's intense to me. That's like, you're watching that and you're like, that is the craziest shit. The professional fighter, the Muay Thai fighter, started when he was in 6th grade. He's already 17 and he's had 200 fights.
God damn it.
To put food on the table. Not to be a UFC fighter.
Right.
Not
to stay in shape after work.
No, because he has to feed his family. So what the hell are we so mad about?
Right.
Nobody has it like that out here. I mean, there are rough parts of America, and I get it. I've been to Detroit. Chicago is crazy. Down in Texas, there are some parts that you're like, what the fuck? Right. You know, there's parts that are fucked. But that's what we should be uniting and fixing, not dividing and just like, I don't get it.
That's a lineup behind a fucking politician.
Right.
Even if you pick a team, pick the Yankees, but don't pick your team behind a fucking guy or a girl.
No,
Bernie
because
or a Trump
they're not really. I don't know if they're really playing the game.
They're not playing the same game.
They're just like owners.
Definitely not playing the same game.
It's a wrestling match. They'll. I'm sure the Yankees and the Red Sox could be friends.
Of course, they are. They hang out. You know?
Right. I kind of feel like behind the scenes, all those politicians, they're fine with each other.
Of course they are. Of course they are, because it's to me it's like football owners. They don't play the game, but they all hang out with each other. They're all multi-billionaires, and they all keep this football thing going on. And even though we don't agree on some of the, I don't agree on some of the things that I'm seeing now that I'm in shock with, because it's become so political. But you can't change it because the owners are not changing. They're just keeping it the way it is, and that's how I feel like when I look at our political situation. That's why I don't lean to one side. I just feel like the whole thing. Look, man, if I got to upgrade my phone every 6 months, why can't the political system be upgraded? It's as old as, how old is our political system? It's like
1776.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Where's the upgrade, man? Like
Joe Rogan always says that. They wrote that with a feather.
Yeah, a lot has changed. A lot has changed.
He said some good shit in the new special that we talked about. So
I as a musician now, I love people. I really do. I get an emotional sense when I see people. When I went to Comic-Con, I was walking around and I felt emotional because I was like, this is one of the few places that so many walks of life are here and they're all happy. And it's thousands of people, and they're bumping into each other. Shit that you would see a fight start. Right. They're bumping into each other. It's crowded. It's hot. It's all of these things, but everybody's happy, and everybody's just enjoying themselves over something as silly as American mythology. Comic books,
right?
And science fiction and things that are not real. But they're happy, and it's thousands of people, and it's gay people, straight people, black people, white people, Asians. It's all types of people under this roof, and they're chilling. It sounds kind of crazy. We could kind of learn from Comic-Con, no? It's like It's like why? You know what's
If Q Unique ruled the world, we would have one large Comic-Con and we would all get along. That's what I got.
Right. We would all be reading comic books. Right.
All right, man. Thank you for doing this because
Thank you.
I don't know, man.
Because even on Sundays, Q Unique works. He comes out,
Motherfucker on Sunday,
On Sunday.
he puts in that work.
puts in that work.
Second podcast.
Meeting with two people he's
Been a
never
long
met.
time, man.
So thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Self-proclamation, all hell retrieve, it's degradation, lost on belief, you can't be for real, it's all in your head, never get me to kneel. Who do you think you are? Don't think you pull the strings, wanna pretend you're God. Who did it make you king?
If I